Hello, my name is Emmanuel Manolakakis, owner-operator of Fight Club in Toronto, Systema school. I started martial art training in 1984 in Toronto. It was very typical karate school. There was nothing else in Toronto at that time. A kung fu school, a karate school. I was quite athletic for most of my career. Played a lot of contact sports, football, rugby, wrestling, those kind of things. When I graduated high school and I went to university, I was an athlete in university. I graduated in 1992 from university being an athlete with a degree in kinesiology. And then, there I was in 1992 saying, I wonder what I'm going to do. And I didn't really know, and I just started working out at a gym, and it was very uninspiring, meaning just a fitness gym. It was very uninspiring. I was working after university, and a year passes in this thing in 1993, 94, somewhere there, so long ago. I stumbled onto Systema, Russian martial art, and what appealed to me was there was no katas or belts at the time. I had gone through a belt system of martial arts, and it kind of it bored me, to be quite honest with you. I didn't really feel in many of these systems at the time, at least in Toronto, that were meaningful to teach people self-defense. I didn't feel it was an accurate portrayal of it. So then comes Systema with no belts and no katas, and it was right away appealing to me. But I still didn't know what it was. So I went to go train. And I figured I would try Systema, and then I was going to try, I think Krav Maga was just starting in Toronto at that time. But I said, let me try Systema first, because I have no idea what it is. I went in to do a class with Vladimir up in Richmond Hill. And it was like nothing I've ever seen before. It was come in. Vladimir didn't speak much English. It was very broken, if at all. Mostly Russians in the class. The warm-up, the training was like very hands-on. Okay, somebody grabbed somebody, somebody punched somebody. There was no explanation. It was very organic, the training, to say the least. But Vladimir did demonstrations, and we tried to copy the demonstrations. And it was the first time I ever understood martial arts as anatomical, as biomechanical and anatomical, meaning I was a kinesiology major, so I understood exercise physiology and kinetics of running and throwing and all those things, but I never saw it applied to martial arts. I always saw it applied to sports. And in traditional karate or things like, they never talked about this. It was just, you study these forms, this is the way we punch, and that's it. And it had some explanations, but it never resembled the human body as a piece. When Vladimir was explaining it at the time, because I was a kinesiology major, I understood it perfectly. I understood, maybe other people didn't, but I understood it. And there were moments in that very first class where we did some group fighting, mass fighting, and it was, I've never seen this taught ever in my life at that time. But I was a rugby player, and I had seen it in rugby. And I was like, and then Vladimir started to explain about mass fighting a little bit. I don't think anybody understood, but I did. And I remember looking around the room, because I was saying, is anybody else having the same experience I'm having? Because I had these experiences in rugby, but he was explaining an experience I had that I didn't think anybody could explain. And I'm thinking, how did you know that if you never played rugby? How would you know what it looks like when 15 guys meet 15 guys that are not happy, and there's one small referee that's trying to keep the order? I'm like, he explained the dynamics, and especially one word he said was, sometimes the crowd is so close that you can't get your hand up to throw a punch. Everything is just too tight. And that's exactly what happened to me at one time. I was like, wow, how did you know that? And I was scratching my head, and then the drill changed. Something else happened. And I left the class, leaving, and then we sat in a circle and we talked, and that was very unusual. That was never done in karate or anything else I've ever seen. This circle time where everybody sat around and discussed what happened. Driving home, and I said to myself, there's two things. This can be two things. Either this is absolutely crazy, or this is a brilliant system. There's something inside me said, there's too many connections for this to be coincidental. But if I judge it mentally, it looked crazy. It looked intense and random. But there's something to this. So I drove home and I said to myself, I think there is something at work here that I want to understand better. So instead of going to Krav Maga and trying Krav Maga because I'm deciding, I just kept with Systema. And I said to myself, I'll do it for 1 year. That was anything I ever did in my life, I always say, let me try it for a year. So I give it a good chance. At the end of the year, the plan was to not train and just do something else. But then I was like, well, maybe another year, right? It was starting to make some sense. And ever since then, it's been almost close to 30 years now. That's all I say. Maybe one more year, right? And why I do that is because it puts the responsibility on me to train in such a way that makes me want to say one more year. And if you look at people that run or cycle or start an activity, they start to train in a way that makes them not like what they do. And then they stop training and they leave it. And then they say, well, I guess it wasn't for me. It was for you. You just trained the wrong way. Mm-hmm. Like running, swimming, biking, it's for everybody in the right way. If you're trying to win a marathon when you really don't care about a marathon, it doesn't make any sense. So I trained in the right way. I kept growing. I worked at a busy office and I saw the stresses, and I was using the lessons I learned in Systema to deal with the busy office. I got married, I had kids, and at every stage of my life, I found a place for the training of Systema in my life. And every time I did that, it made me want to do it more and more and more. 2003, we moved. I was married in 2000, but we moved to a different part of Toronto than where Vladimir was at. And it was about a 1-hour car drive to get to his gym. Something that's very hard to do for a new father because kids and family take some priority. So I found a small gym. Actually, I didn't find it. Somebody lent it to me. I have a gym if you want to use it. And I said, well, maybe if I create a small group, I can train and then maybe go up a little bit less because of the drive. So this small group in less than 6 months became 20 students. And then I said, well, maybe I guess I have to rent a space and get a little bit bigger space. And ever since 2003, now it's 2026, 23 years now, I've had the Fight Club. And classes are pretty much every day for Systema, whether it's adults or kids. I still train every week with Vladimir. I used to run my classes as well. And of course, in between that is a million wonderful stories of how I used Systema in my life in different ways. I've trained so many different athletes in different business people, different professions. All of them come to the same conclusion that it somehow benefits them in a much bigger way. I've used it to deal with injuries. I had damaged my knees quite severely in sports, and I used Systema just to almost completely heal them, which is remarkable because every time I see the doctors, they kind of scratch their heads how I'm doing it. I used it in almost every aspect of my life, whether it's kids or injuries or teaching or work. The first thing I tell people is it's very important to just come and just try a class. come and try. It's like test driving a car. Of course, you can read about the car and you can like the look of it, but until you sit in the driver's seat, until you take a test drive, you don't know. It's just like, why not come and try the car? That tells you more if you like it. It's also important to consider, what do you want from it? Like, what do you hope to get out of martial arts? Of course, people will tell you self-defense, but if you ask them honestly, it's not that really. It's other stuff, right? Sometimes it's to be part of a good community, right? It is a great community, by the way. It's Systema community. All martial art communities can be quite wonderful. And especially in this day and age, where everything is on screens, everything is social, and there's very little contact, very little touch. I think it's very more important now than ever before to be part of physical communities, be part of clubs and associations where you can interact with people live and have experiences. So for a new person, I would say come with an open mind, right? And our minds work the best when they're open, okay, not when they're closed. So come with an open mind, try a couple of classes, and as you're driving home, as you're walking home, ask yourself, is this something that I would like to be a part of, right? And if it is, then continue your training, right? It doesn't matter what art you decide, whatever martial art you decide to do. No martial art works for anybody. Nothing works for anybody. You have to work for it. The question is not whether it works for me or doesn't work for me. It's, does it suit me? Is this something that I feel comfortable with, that I can relate to and that I can understand? Once you connect with it, it's perfect, right? It's very similar to buying a car. What do you need a car for? Like, do you need it to go to work? Do you need it for kids? Is it for the city? Is it for off-roading? When you understand what you need it for, you can best understand what you need, right? Mm-hmm. What I love about Systema, it's not just, doesn't study the sports aspects of martial arts. It studies the human aspects of martial arts. And everybody needs to be more human. So it's beautiful. And it's funny, in telling you this now, I had so many athletes that come to me, and it improves their sports because it improves the human. If you improve the person, you improve the sport of the person who's doing. So I encourage new people to come and try some classes openly, with an open mind, and see how you feel. And if it feels right, join. Like, why wouldn't you, right? And if it doesn't, don't. Nobody's pushing you. The Systema's door is wide open. We don't hold people here. I simply ask you to be open-minded with the training. There's a lot to it. It can do so much for a person. So come see what it can do for you. Like, all athletes reach a plateau, and they reach there because maybe it's not that they're bored, it's that maybe their priorities in life have changed. You know, there was a time where, let's look at Muhammad Ali. Why did he start boxing? He started boxing because somebody stole his bike. And when he found the person, he wanted to beat him up. And he wanted to know how to do it. Because this is Muhammad Ali, the athlete of the century, 2000. His purpose going in was different going out. I started martial arts, again, not to be bullied, when I was 15. Well, I'm 56 now. Like, it's a long time ago. The reason has changed immensely. People plateau or they get in that position because they don't feel challenged, and they don't challenge themselves, not in terms of beating people up, but in terms of their ability, right? And Systema, we challenge you in so many ways, like physical, mental, psychological, and you grow because you get challenged. So as an athlete, you get better competition, you get challenged, you grow. In life, different problems come to you and they challenge you, right? That's what Systema is. So if you feel like you're plateauing in something, maybe it's time to change your perspective. So there was a theory in the 80s and 90s That people, you go here to learn this, and you go there to learn that, and you go here to learn that. And people started to do these different trainings in different places. But I knew these people that did this, but they still were never happy. They still never found it. And you realize it's not the training. When people feel plateaued, it's their perspective got too small. Just put a bigger perspective. Maybe expect more from yourself. Maybe change what the focus is, right? The athletes that are the happiest for me are the ones that don't focus on winning and losing. They focus on learning. They lost in some sort of a match, but they felt like, wow, I can grow now. I feel like I can really, really grow. So the athlete that puts the onus on themselves is, I think, the one that never loses perspective. It's a good group. It's a great group. You guys are tight. You're connected with each other. The most important thing, I think, is that you trust each other. There's a good level of trust with each other. And I mean, if you talk to the special forces, if you talk to any special forces, Navy SEALs, British SAS, commandos of any sort, if you ask them what characteristic is the most important, it's trust. I have to trust the person beside me. And that's not easy in life, you know. Trust it takes a long time. The group, especially this weekend that I trained, and from earlier in the year when I was here, I can see a difference in trust with each other. You trust each other intention much better now. So trust it's a good trusting group, right? There's a good balance of seriousness and humor. There's a good balance between hard work and humility. Like, both are in good measure, right? Think of the importance of having a balanced diet, having a balanced perspective. People often underestimate the value of a balanced perspective in training. Of course, you need to be tough. Of course, you need to have fun. Of course, there are moments where we get angry. There's an emotional part. There's lots of gratitude, as you witnessed in the circle. Lots of people sharing how grateful they were for Stefan, for me, for all of us, for the group. I mean, that's not always the case, right? So there was a lot of gratitude. There's a lot of humility as well, which is something that, again, brings people great joy, right? And there's also this peace in the room. I don't know if you felt it, I felt it for sure. I never felt an aggressive or an angry moment in anybody in the training. I never saw it at all. Mm-hmm. But yet we punched the shit out of each other, and we worked with a knife, and we did some stuff that was very chaotic, but yet somehow the emotional level was right around 6 or 7, very steady. Mm-hmm. So there were no spikes in energy. It was very good level of energy. So that's special. That's not always the case. Times when I do seminars, or when I'm a part of big seminars, people come from all over, right? And there's different levels of expectation. Everybody was on the same page here, and that's really special. Everybody being on the same page, being at a similar level, and also being at wanting similar things is really important, right? So definitely I noticed that stick out. And of course there's a level of comfort with me now. They start to understand that maybe I know what I'm talking about. All students want to say, I wonder if this old man understands what we really need. And there comes a time where people start to see that I do, and that's special too, right? It's not so much a style. I understand that people are different. There's the beauty of our society is that people are free to express themselves. So there's no end to country music. It's country music is a genre, but the voice of the person gives this life. And there's no voices that are the same. They're always a little bit different, right? And that's the best thing that can happen in life, because that means different people can express themselves, right? And so our teachers, all teachers, are wonderful. But as students start to grow and learn, it is important that not they get out of the way. That's the wrong way of looking at it. But it's that they share everything, that we see different perspectives. Because how could any teacher be offended? How could any father be offended by seeing their kids prosper? You're part of that. There's nothing but gratitude that I would have as I watch my students grow and learn. There's no part of me that says bad or good. It's amazing, because you were part of this thing, right? And Systema especially, as an art goes, it's still very new. It's still very young compared to, not young meaning in North America, I guess, even in Europe too. Compared to other arts that came a lot earlier to North America and started to spread different, it's still really new. And I encourage people to stop comparing instructors and start appreciating them for what they bring. It's very important. Everybody brings something different. We start saying this guy better than that guy, this guy do this. Who cares, man? It doesn't matter. What matters is that everybody can express themselves and people can learn what they like. You come a long way in life when you stop comparing and you start being yourself. Like that.
It's an art.
So it's an art, yeah. Like I can imagine even trying to compare myself to my grandfather, to my father. These men were infinitely better than me. I'm serious, being honest. The challenges they faced, like I'm on their shoulders, as they say. Like I'm not, I don't see myself any other way. And the same with all of our teachers in Systema. We are on their shoulders. And we pay tribute with them, not by bowing down, by remembering them this way. And remember them and their spirit and their energy, and by giving thanks to them, right? It's not thanks on social media, it's thanks in person. That's the way we do it, right?